So Rode just announced their new RodeCaster Pro II, which will be shipping at $699 from June. And even though I don't have a unit in hand, let's run through all of the new features and see whether or not it's worth it for you or if it's worth the upgrade. Let's get into it. Now, before we jump into all of the new features, let me first start off by saying that the RodeCaster Pro II is a completely new device. It doesn't use anything from the old device, meaning that all the problems that some people had with, for example, the preamps being noisy have been replaced, and Rode has even made their own new preamps that are even more quiet than those that were in the RodeCaster Pro I. So if you had a problem with that, just rest assured that apparently the new inputs as well as the headphone preamps are all extremely quiet, and you shouldn't have an issue if that was an issue with the last one that you had, which already makes a big upgrade with the new one compared to the old one. Now, another big thing is the fact that the device is actually a little bit smaller than that of the previous one, but only in the width really. Now, even though that isn't a big change, one of the bigger changes is the fact that at the bottom of the device, you do have support for VESA mount as well as a 3/8 inch jack, meaning that if you want to mount this device to anything else and not have it actually rest on your desk, you can do that to make it easily swivel out, and you don't have to make different types of devices for that. You can simply mount it to a VESA mount, which can then be mounted to your desk using a normal VESA mount that you can buy off the shelves. Another thing that is different from that of the original is the fact that you only have 6 physical faders compared to the 8 on the original. But of course, with this one, you do actually have the ability to assign any audio source to any of those faders, meaning that with the original, you had your pre-assigned audio that actually went to each of the faders, meaning mic 1, mic 2, mic 3, mic 4, meaning once again that if you only used 1 or 2 mics, that you had 2 or 3 faders that were physically unusable. But with this one, because you can assign any of the audio sources, it means that even though you only have 6 compared to the 8, you have 6 physical usable faders that you can assign any of your audio sources to and actually use all of them. Now, you can also assign stereo audio to these faders as well, meaning that if you want your mic to have a left and a right, you can assign a left and a right to these faders and control the volume of the left and the right for your mic, as well as actually pan left and right for all of these faders, meaning that whatever audio source you have coming in, you can pan it either more to the left, more to the right, or just keep it centered, which is a really cool feature, especially for musicians. Which brings me to the next part, which is that all the jacks at the back are actually now combo jacks and not only XLR anymore, meaning that you can actually plug in guitars, keyboards, whatever it is that you want directly into the audio interface to record or use for live streaming. Now, what makes that really cool is that means that it can actually save you a bunch of money, especially if you're a musician who's looking for more than one musical input. It means that you don't actually have to go out and buy different audio interfaces for different use cases. For example, one for your mic, one for your guitar, one for your bass, whatever it is that you want to plug in, you can just connect them all to this one device, control everything in the volumes of those devices on this one audio interface, plug this one audio interface into your PC, and that is it. Nothing more needed, and it all just works completely out of the box. Now, other great features that weren't present in the original is the fact that you can now have a Wi-Fi connection as well as Ethernet plugged directly into this audio interface, meaning that you don't have to plug this device into a PC to actually update it and potentially even upload your podcasts or whatever recordings you have made directly to the internet without having to actually connect everything or take out the SD card and all of those things. You can just directly upload it, saving you a lot of time and a lot of effort. And then with the Bluetooth connectivity this time, you can actually connect wireless Bluetooth headsets to the audio interface itself, meaning that if you are using wireless Bluetooth headsets while you're gaming or editing videos, you can directly connect it to this device. You don't need a DAC anymore, and you don't need any sort of dongle to connect to your PC, making it a whole different mess of audio delays and everything else. You can just directly connect to the audio interface and it works straight off the bat. And then for live streaming, it gets pretty interesting, especially if you're someone who likes to use dual PC setups. And the reason for this is you can actually connect the RodeCaster Pro II to 2 different PCs and still have mixed minus abilities, meaning that if you have a gaming and a streaming PC, that you can connect this one device to both of them and still control where your audio goes to, meaning if you don't want your teammates to be heard by your stream, you can still eliminate that from the actual stream mix. And this just makes it a whole lot easier to have a dual PC setup, since you don't have to actually connect two PCs with each other with different cables running between the two PCs. You just have two USBs and each of them plugs into each of their PCs, and you just control everything else via the software. And honestly, as someone who's gone from a dual PC stream to a single PC stream, mainly because of all of the different wires, this makes it a whole lot easier, especially if it is as easy as it sounds. And then lastly, you can also color code all of your different faders individually. And this is mainly because you can actually assign different audio sources to each of those faders, meaning that you can now assign different colors to each of those faders to more easily remember which fader is which. So for example, you can have blue your mic, red your system, and then just always remember red is system, blue is mic. Or if you have a podcast, you can assign them to the different colors that you have your mic set at, and once again, just color code them according to the faders itself. With the audio banks, they've also made it a little bit more easy. In the past, you had to actually go through the banks via the software itself, meaning that if you wanted to change the different audio banks, you had to go into the software and change everything. So if you were busy on one screen, you had to exit and go back into that. Now you can just press between the different buttons on the mixer itself, meaning that switching between audio banks is as simple as pressing a button. And then just to quickly run through all of the connection options of this device, if you take a look at the back, you do have your 4 combo jacks, which can be used for mics or any other 1/4 inch input. You have your left and your right 1/4 inch ports for studio monitors. You have your 4 1/4 inch headphone outputs, 2 USB-Cs to connect to either 2 different PCs, or to use one to actually record to an external device if that is what you want to do. And then you also have your micro USB slot to record to as well, your USB-C for power, and your Ethernet port as mentioned earlier. Now, if and when I get my hands on a unit, I can do more in-depth reviews and show you guys more how to actually set up this device for different types of content, and to just simply test and see if it really is as good as it sounds on paper. So if you don't want to miss that, please leave a like and subscribe. That way you will get notified when I post my next video, which of course could be this unit. And then also leave in the comment section below, what is your favorite feature of the RodeCaster Pro II? And will you actually go out and pick one up, or will you be making the upgrade? And then, as always, until next time, cheers.